In the charming town of Shelbyville, Indiana, we meet Gilbert Noble, the friendly animal control officer of the community, often caught up in peculiar situations. Despite his tendency for mischief, Gilly possesses a heart overflowing with kindness. His troubled past, where his family left him as a child, causing him to grow up in an orphanage, left him wary of making commitments. Gilly strongly believes that companionship is the secret ingredient in a fulfilling life, the very reason people decide to get married. He speculates that his single status might be due to his discerning nature or his longing for a deep connection with a partner. In contrast, his boss, Larry, seems content with a simpler life. One particular day, Larry extends a dinner invitation to Gilly, aiming to make amends for forgetting his wife's birthday. Although Gilly hesitates, he eventually agrees to join the gathering. The scene shifts to Larry's home, where Gilly becomes a guest at the family dinner table. There, familial discord becomes evident, exacerbated by the outspoken and impudent behavior of Larry's daughter. Later, at a local restaurant, Larry confides in Gilly about his family troubles, disregarding Gilly's suggestion that he seek professional help. During their conversation, Stewart, with a striking new hairstyle courtesy of Joe at Mega Cuts, arrives, openly admiring Joe's beauty and drawing Gilly's attention. The story then shifts to Gilly's anxious wait outside Mega Cuts for a haircut from Joe. As they chat, Joe confides in Gilly about losing her cat, Ringo. To Gilly's surprise, he reveals that he recently found a tailless cat named Ringo. Joe's excitement leads to an unfortunate accident as she accidentally snips Gilly's ear. The narrative then transitions to Gilly's hospital stay, where he receives treatment for his injured ear. Overwhelmed with guilt, Joe invites Gilly to dinner and a heartfelt reunion with her beloved cat, Ringo, an offer he gratefully accepts. At Joe's charming home, she prepares a meal while her mother, Valdine, persistently encourages her to consider marrying a wealthy suitor named Jake. In the midst of this, Joe's paraplegic father, Mr. Wingfield, makes an appearance, adding depth to the unfolding story. The story unfolds as Joe opens the door, and there stands Gil with Ringo in his arms, warmly welcoming him into her home, where she introduces him to her rather disinterested father. During dinner, Joe's mother begins to ask Gilly uncomfortable questions, making him feel uneasy. Under the table, Gilly notices a foot, assuming it's Joe's, offering him silent comfort. In the midst of this, he shares his dream of becoming a veterinarian someday. However, Valdine appears unsupportive of his aspirations. To his delight, Joe steps in, boosting his confidence and expressing her unwavering belief in his dreams. As Gilly departs, he realizes the foot he had noticed under the table does not belong to Valdine but to Mr. Wingfield, surprising Joe. The story continues with Gilly seeking guidance from Detective Vic to uncover the truth about his family. Vic reveals a potential lead about his still-living mother in town, sparking Gilly's excitement. Vic shares a picture of a Japanese woman who might be his mother. Subsequently, we witness Joe and Gilly sharing emotional moments on the rooftop. An emotional poem about dogs brings tears to Joe's eyes, leading to romantic intimacy between them. In the next scene, Joe takes the bold step of proposing to Gilly, leading to deeply intimate moments between them. However, during this intimate time, Gilly receives a call from Vic, who believes he has found Gilly's mother and is convinced it's Valdine Wingfield. The narrative shifts to a scene where Joe and Gilly sit before Mr. and Mrs. Wingfield. Valdine tearfully reveals why she had to abandon Gilly at birth, believing she couldn't provide for him. She emphasizes that at least Gilly discovered the truth before marrying Joe, reassuring that there's no forbidden relationship between them. Gilly's expressions convey his complex emotions. The story then jumps forward 16 months, showing a transformed Gilly working as an animal control officer alongside friends Larry and Stewart. It becomes evident they are aware of Gilly and Joe's connection, as well as the secrets surrounding their relationship. In the subsequent scene, Gilly returns to the Wingfield house, symbolizing his newfound place in their family. Valdine's attitude towards him undergoes a significant transformation upon realizing he is her long-lost son. A phone call from Joe reveals her marriage to Jake, bringing delight to Valdine, driven by motives and greed. As the story unfolds, we meet the mysterious Leon Pitofsky, who appears at the Wingfield residence, claiming to be Valdine's biological son. He provides undeniable DNA tests and meticulously documented medical reports to support his assertion. This revelation leads to an explosive confrontation, resulting in Gilly's expulsion from their home. Reverting to his original appearance from the movie's beginning, Gilly bids farewell to Indiana and embarks on a journey to Oregon with a singular mission: to confront Jo with the unvarnished truth and stop her impending wedding to Jack. Along the way, he crosses paths with pilot Dig McCaffrey, who becomes his unwavering companion throughout the challenging journey. Meanwhile, Valdine contacts the Beaver police, accusing Gilbert of being a sexual predator who has supposedly assaulted his sister and is en route to Beaver. The police plaster Gilly's image across town, branding him as a sex offender. This poster catches Jo's attention, prompting her to seek clarification from her mother, falling victim to Valdine's deception as well. In the subsequent scene, we encounter Jake, who crosses paths with police officer Gina and is invited for coffee to discuss Jo's brother's presence in town. Jack subsequently meets Jimmy and confides in him about Gilly, urging him to make Gilly disappear. Gilly, on his quest to locate Jo, inquires about her whereabouts at a local shop but is abducted by Jimmy and his gang. In another scene, Jack and Jo engage in a heated argument over Jo's relationship with her brother. Surprisingly, it becomes clear that Jack firmly supports Jo. Meanwhile, Gilly wakes up on a plane headed for Puerto Vallarta. On the other hand, Mr. and Mrs. Wingfield are en route to Oregon for their daughter's wedding, but it becomes evident that Jack is involved in an affair with police officer Gina, raising doubts about his trustworthiness. Through a series of twists and turns, Gilbert manages to return to Beaver, desperately trying to reach Jo. However, she is nowhere to be found, so he tries to leave her a note, only to discover that the paper he picks up is one of the damning posters against him. Panicked, he quickly changes his appearance once more. Seeking refuge in a bar, Gilly encounters Dig and asks for help in locating his truck. Dig reveals that Jack had sabotaged his truck during a charity event the previous night, infuriating Gilly, who insists that Jo should not marry someone like Jack. An eavesdropper in the bar overhears this and sets the stage for a complex web of intrigue and relationships. Dig advises Gilly to reconsider his stance, suggesting that if he truly loves Jo, letting her marry Jack might be like winning the lottery, as he believes Jack is genuinely a good man. In the ensuing scene, Jo engages in a conversation with Zoff, who informs her of Gilly's unexpected presence at the shop. Overwhelmed by curiosity, Jo decides to seek him out and eventually locates him on the road. She confronts him, questioning his return despite their seemingly insurmountable obstacles to being together. At this juncture, Gilly reflects on Dig's counsel about letting Jo marry Jake. He confesses that his sole purpose in coming back was to bid her farewell and wish her good fortune. The encounter reveals that their feelings for each other remain undeniably strong. Following this emotional exchange, Gilly resolves to leave town, holding a bus ticket near a departing bus. However, a mischievous child snatches the ticket from him, sparking a chase that inadvertently leads Gilly back to Dig. Unbeknownst to Gilly, this was Dig's plan all along, a scheme to prevent him from leaving Beaver. Dig candidly admits that Jake is not the man he appears to be, concealing a hidden persona. He goes on to reveal that Jake is, in fact, the largest marijuana grower in the Pacific Northwest. United in their determination, they decide to concoct a plan to eliminate Jake's influence. However, their plans are swiftly interrupted as Jake's associates arrive, abducting Gilly once more. In a stroke of luck, Gilly manages to escape, taking a daring leap into the river to elude his pursuers. With Dig's assistance, he crafts a banner that reads, "Jo, I am not your brother. Marry me," in an attempt to profess his love from the skies. Tragically, during the airborne display, the word, "not," tears away, leaving behind a confusing message. "Jo, I am your brother, marry me." The ill-timed banner, seen by Jo and her family amidst their wedding preparations, only exacerbates the situation. As the plane lands on a road, Gilly is promptly arrested by the police, leading to his transfer to a mental care facility where he is meant to receive treatment. The narrative then shifts to Gilly's experience within the facility, where he attends sessions and interacts with fellow patients. During lunch, Gilly crosses paths with Streak, one of Jimmy's associates, who had been involved in his earlier kidnapping. He attempts to engage Gilly in conversation and unveils compromising pictures of Joe, revealing that they were taken by Jimmy. A heated argument ensues, leading to a physical altercation and Gilly's isolation in a room, his hands restrained and mouth muzzled. Amidst isolation, Gilly reflects on the cherished moments he shared with Joe. Suddenly, he hears a sound. It's Dig, who has arrived to free him. Together with another patient, they make a daring escape, and the scene captures their exhilaration as they embark on a journey to freedom. Meanwhile, a passing car catches Gilly's attention. It's Leon. Gilly calls out to him, but his voice goes unheard. The two devise a plan. Dig will gain control of Leon, and they will present him as evidence to Joe. However, their plan takes an unexpected turn, with Leon seizing Dig's wooden legs and imprisoning him within a washing machine. In the midst of this, Gilly's hand accidentally becomes entangled in a cow's rear end. As onlookers ridicule him, Gilly's ordeal continues. Amid this embarrassing moment, Gil encounters Joe, who suggests that he should seek medical attention at a hospital for proper treatment. However, she appears to be in disagreement with whatever Gil attempts to convey. Eventually, he manages to free himself, and the scene transitions to Joe and Jack's wedding, where the ceremony is in its final stages. Mr. Wingfield senses his daughter's unhappiness and attempts to disclose Leon's true identity as her real brother, not Gilly. However, Valdine intervenes, disconnecting his communication device as he is paralyzed. The story then takes a sudden and dramatic twist, as Gilly finds himself once again ensnared by Streak. He not only seizes Gilly's truck but also makes off with the engagement ring that once symbolized Joe and Gilly's love, sending Gilly tumbling down a hill. The truck then becomes the unintended target of Leon, who mistakenly believes that Gilly intends to disrupt his sister's wedding. In a series of reckless actions, Leon's misguided efforts culminate in a fiery explosion, tragically leading to the Streak. In a heartbreaking coincidence, the police arrive at the wedding, delivering the devastating news that Gilly has met with a fatal accident. Overwhelmed by grief, Joe's eyes well up with tears as the police, with solemnity, tenderly transfer the ashes of Gilly into her trembling hands. Simultaneously, they firmly apprehend Leon, leading him away into custody. Valdine catches sight of Leon and cries out his name, further adding to the turmoil. Joe's father makes a valiant attempt to reveal the truth about Leon being her real brother, but Valdine's intervention prevents him from doing so. In the following scene, we witness Joe departing from the wedding. Valdine's confrontation with Leon ultimately results in her fall, leading to her paralysis. On the flip side, when Gil regains consciousness after his fall, he seeks out Dig, who is overjoyed to see him alive. Together, they embark on a journey to Indiana, with Dig taking on the role of the pilot. On the other hand, while Gil embarks on his journey, Joe also heads to Indiana. One day, while Gil is on duty as an animal control officer with Larry, he spots Joe on a rooftop, holding a gun. Concerned for her safety, Gil rushes towards her to intervene, only to discover that she was simply giving a one-gun salute to what she believed were Jill's ashes, as provided by the police. Their reunion is filled with joy as they share romantic moments. The scene transitions to their wedding ceremony, where Mr. Wingfield appears in good health, while Valdine is in a condition similar to what Wingfield had experienced. This serves as a reminder of the concept of karma, where our actions come full circle. In a final twist, Vic informs Gil that he has located his biological mother with all the necessary documentation, including DNA reports and signatures. It turns out to be Suzanne Summers, who has traveled from California to meet her son. Joe playfully reminds Gil of his teenage crush on her, alluding to their unique history. The movie concludes with a nervous but hopeful expression on Jill's face.